Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing, Noble? A phone holder keeps wanting to unsnap. There we go. I don't have anything to unbox. I mean, I do. I have this Scarlet Spider here, which I bought as a second. So I'm wondering all the stuff, and I'll probably unbox him. I've got the Red Skull as the ghost coming. It's been paid for, just waiting for it to arrive. But the big question that I put for this video for this week is about the coronavirus, because it's a big question, obviously. People are out there um, buying up the last roll of toilet paper, um, buying up the last hand sanitizer, scared to death to touch anything or do anything. And the fear is, you know, when my figure comes from China, is it going to be safe to open? So, just to get to the point, just to get right to that answer, which is really what you want to know, I just went to CDC and they actually have a section on there in regards to that, with an answer specifically on opening up stuff that comes from China. And this is their answer, the CDC's answer. And it simply says, there is still a lot that is unknown about the newly emerged COVID-19 and how it spreads. Two other coronaviruses have emerged previously to cause severe illness in people, MERS and SARS. The virus that causes COVID-19 is more genetically related to SARS than MERS, but both are beta coronaviruses with their origins in bats. While we don't know for sure that this virus will behave the same way as SARS CoV and MERS CoV, we can use the information gained from both of these earlier coronaviruses to guide us in general. Because of poor survivability of these coronaviruses on surfaces, there is likely very low risk of spread from products or packaging that are shipped over a period of days or weeks at ambient temperatures. Coronaviruses are generally thought to be spread most often by respiratory droplets. Currently, there is no evidence to support transmission of COVID-19 associated with imported goods, and there have not been any cases of COVID-19 in the United States associated with imported goods. Information will be provided on the Coronavirus Disease 2019 COVID-19 website as it becomes available. And I printed this off just 3 hours ago, so this will be the most accurate information as 3 hours ago, unless something has happened in the last 3 hours. So, I guess the one thing I want to point out, for whatever reason whatsoever, if you have any question about anything like that whatsoever, please definitely research it yourself. Go to CDC or WHO, World Health Organization, and this was literally a question that was asked on their site. So it's a concern that every one of us have, and it sounds to me like it's saying, they're not saying 100% positive that you won't have anything from there, but the odds of it surviving on, the term used to be a slow boat from China, are slim to none. So there shouldn't be any fear or need for concern or anything along that line of opening anything up from that part of the world or from anybody else who happened to be transmitting or transferring something where the coronavirus has been known to be very active. But that's all subject to change at any given point. So just check for the website for the most up-to-date information. And the other thing, though, is that because of, like, as we've experienced, the businesses shutting down, letting people not come into work, etc., that could possibly push back the delivery of some of these figures. So figures that we were possibly expecting to see in March, we might not see until April or May, just for the fact that because of the whole process of people being ill and things not working properly and whatever else in that regards due to the inconveniences put on us because of the virus, don't expect your figures to come anytime soon. So I guess that's really all I had to say about that. But it really was, in my opinion, a concern that I believe a lot of people had that, you know, we need to get off our chests. We need to discuss, and that's where I got that information from. So I hope you all are well. I hope you have been taking care of yourselves, washing your hands, using gloves, using alcohol swipes, whatever you have available to you to make sure that you're not being affected or infected by this. Another thing it says is there's no need really to wear a mask unless you're ill yourself. Hey, Robert, happy Saturday. Everyone getting... For some reason I'm not getting the chat over here. Said unable to connect the chat on my computer. Doesn't make any sense. So, I noticed that President Trump opened up all the funds or whatever, or cut back the red tape that keeps hospitals from working. So, you guys that are out there on the front line, those in the hospital, thank you for doing that. And it sounds like they're going to make your job easier. Here we go. Did you like that pick, Robert? So yeah, thank you for working in a hospital, man. That's got to be tough. You're right there on the front line, making people subconscious at the slightest cough. A guy coughed to the side while I ordered pizza, making you think. You know, and one of the things they say is also you don't need to get tested for the virus unless you have the symptoms of the virus. And even with the website that they're creating, and Google is said that they had, President Trump said that Google has 1,700 engineers creating a website to help people determine whether or not they should be tested for the coronavirus. And it basically says, question number one, do you have these symptoms in this list of symptoms of cough, fever, or whatever else is involved with that? And if the answer is no, then that ends it. If you don't have the symptoms, you don't need to go get tested. If you do have the symptoms, then go get tested. And that's like they're talking about. There are people who have been exposed to the virus and then didn't get infected by the virus. So just because you've been exposed to it doesn't mean that you're going to get sick from it. It could mean that you could be a carrier of it. So you don't want to necessarily go continually spreading it if you've been infected with it yourself or affected with it. But just because you think that you've been affected with it, if you don't have the symptoms, there's probably no need for you to go to the hospital or to be tested for it, because if you're not sick from it, you're probably going to be fine. And that's the biggest thing is to try to calm down the people from the hysteria, the fear that's happening, and everybody and their brother, you know, as soon as, like you said, as soon as they get a cough, oh my God, the coronavirus. And I can understand that fear. Also, you know, keep in mind that it's mostly affecting the elderly or the very, very young, or those who have immune systems aren't necessarily the strongest, or those who are have lung diseases specifically. It's a lung disease related problem, and it really, I don't know why this is such getting so much news, because really we have something like this every handful of years, a flu to some degree, that inconveniences people, make people sick, people die. I mean, people have been dying from just the regular flu. Every year people die from the regular flu. So I don't know what the big fear is here this time either. But especially when they say the mortality factor of the percentage of people is a single digit number. You know, it just doesn't make any sense to me, but it's definitely the talk of the town, and the fear that everyone has right now. So I keep thinking this was planned for some reason. I keep wondering, they make a shot to give you the virus, making it up. Yes, watch too much government conspiracy stuff, right? It's always going to be that the back of your mind War Z, Z Nation zombie thing going on, right? Saw a movie, old nice doctor, take this flu shot and it'll help. Turns out the doctor turned the guy into a lizard. Oh my God. So it makes me think this is something shady. Hey, there's no telling, but I don't know. Just be careful, guys out there. Use common sense. If you are concerned with it, bring you some alcohol swabs, wear your rubber gloves, and try to avoid getting close enough to someone that they. If you're in a grocery store, look around, you'll see if somebody's hacking it up. You can see if they're ill, more or less. Wipe down the shopping cart before you grab it with alcohol swab. Alcohol kills it, they said. A really good Batgirl has been announced. Hot Toys has a Arkham Knight Batgirl. She looks amazing. If you are a DC fan at this point, I can't imagine you not being excited about that Batgirl. I don't know anything about Arkham Knight. I think it's a video game, right? On the plus side, thinking I could get 2 weeks off. Yeah, I couldn't take 2 weeks off. I get paid to do the work. There's no such thing as a 2 week vacation for me. So I'm not looking forward to that at all. What else was there I've seen that happened over this week? Fison's got a couple of figures that they've released, a lady Viking and some other warrior. If you enjoy the Fison figures, TBD executive replicas have some really good looking Fison figures that have been announced this last week. Right. I tell you, I had to go to Ace Hardware yesterday and get some liquid plumber, and they had plenty of toilet paper and paper towels and all that on the shelves. And so people were saying that there's been a run on that, and you can't get any toilet paper. And Ace Hardware had whatever I wanted. There was a lot of people shopping, but there's always a lot of people shopping there. So I don't know what the deal is. I really don't. Yeah, I think Batgirl is going to look great. If you are a DC fan, I'm a DC fan. I really am. Um, Spider-Man's my guy. Marvel is really the universe that I'm 100% sold on. But I got no problem with Batman. I got no problem with Superman. Love those guys. They were who I read in the comics before ever discovering Marvel. Marvel was Marvel's been around longer than I've been on the earth, so it's not like I'm old Marvel. But Marvel was the new kid on the block, and Superman and Batman were well established comics and characters. And of course, I was raised with Batman and Superman, and didn't discover Spider-Man until I was a teenager. And but no, I love Batman, and God, what a great looking Batgirl. She really looks really good, no doubt about it. Well, Deluxe R2, love it, but now I'm wanting the Sideshow Deluxe R2. The Sideshow one, it's I gotta tell you, this Hot Toys one is pretty doggone amazing, but the Sideshow one was dirt doggone cheap in comparison. Um, if you can find the Deluxe, because both of them are called the Deluxe R2, whatever it is, for Sideshow, but one of them has all the extra pieces. But geez, the advantage in that the Sideshow one is interchangeable with the other Sideshow ones. Although I don't know if Sideshow's making any more Astromechs as it is. I think someone had said something about Sideshow has lost their license to do that or something, and I don't know what the deal is. So, with all the collection of them that I have, and I've shown you how I've taken the little arms and can put them into the other Sideshow ones, the Hot Toy one is not interchangeable, and that's the bad thing. And I guarantee you, I'm sorry, I hate to say it, I don't believe for 1 second that Hot Toys is going to be cranking out the Astromechs like Sideshow has made. I don't believe Hot Toys is going to make an R5D4 or the R2Q whatever and RJ whatever it is and CB whatever they are. I don't remember the astromech names, forgive me, but I guarantee you that I don't, you know, if Hot Toys can't even make a freaking Lone Ranger to go with Tonto, I guarantee they're not going to crank out the other astromechs. And I don't understand that. I really don't. So Sideshow has released of the the R series astromechs. You got their two deluxe versions, one with all the stuff and one without the stuff, and then you have the R5D4 and then the Imperial R5D4, whatever it's called, R5 RJ whatever, and then the CB, and then the Imperial R2 whatever that was, R4 or something, and then the Mcfarlane prototype. So Sideshow's made 4, 5, 6, 7 astromechs. And I guarantee you Hot Toys isn't going to crank out 7 more astromechs or 6 more astromechs. This is pretty much, in my opinion, going to be one and done. They've made their R2D2. They've gotten their money, and that's it. I don't believe for 1 second they're just going to start cranking them out. It's the easiest thing to do. Talk about repaints. Painting them red, painting them black, painting them gold all day long. Green, yellow. You can make anything you want pink of these astromechs. It'd be the easiest recreation in the world. And it's not going to happen. It just won't happen. They couldn't give us more than 1 Iron Legion. We got number 3, right? They couldn't even do a 1, 2, 4, and a 5. Talking about repainting, just slap different stickers on it. Or, well, it's not stickers, but paint. But they wouldn't even do that. So if they couldn't be bothered to make the other 4 Iron Legion, they can't be bothered to make the other Quantum Realm suits for the Avengers than just Tony, because that's the only one we've got. We've been shown Chris Evans as Captain America, but they certainly haven't released it. If they can't be bothered to do that, if they can't be bothered to complete a set, if they can't be bothered to make more of the same thing, guarantee you're not getting any more astromechs. That's it. And that's really unfortunate. They molded the whole thing, paint a different color, boom, off you go, and that would do it. So, but the positive thing is, the Hot Toys and the Sideshow, they 100% agree on scale, 100%. I mean, they're dead on the same scale, no doubt about that. Unlike, I think it's a Kenner line or a Hasbro line or somebody, I think it's Hasbro, that makes a 1/6 line of the astromechs. They're not the same scale. They're not interchangeable. They can't pose them side by side, and your brain accept that they're the same scale. It just doesn't work that way. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I love the R2s, man. I do. I really do. I'll always have. And it's so difficult when you're trying to figure out what to put where. What to buy, what to invest in, what you want to take up that valuable 1/6 space. You got something literally, that big in circumference that is taking up at the minimum. If it's just standing in a museum pose, and if you put them in an action pose, you're taking up this much landscape in your house. And to try to figure out what is worth that to you. What figure is worthy to hold that. And I'm so happy with my R2D2s. I really am. I love every one of them. All my R2s, all my astromechs. Oh, the QMax collection, man. I love my Picard. Oh my God, he looks so much like him. They really did a great job with that. 3 Kirks, 2 Spocks, 2 McCoys, and Picard. 1 Con. Nice. 2 chairs. But if I ever sell, I'd still have them. Right? Because that's really why you're wanting to get stuff that you enjoy. You want stuff that you can escape through, something that you can, just take absolute pleasure in just looking at them and be reminded of things and posing them into different scenes from the movies. Something that gives you a giggle. A giggle. Something that'll give you a giggle. Yeah, hey, if you got the money to get the double, why not? Because if you, sometimes the museum pose is what you want. Sometimes the action pose is what you're looking for. You know, or even if like, gosh, this new Miles Morales figure that has been announced by Hot Toys, it comes with enough clothing accessories to be able to recreate more or less four versions from the movie. And so if you're only buying one, you know, every month or every week or however often, you can display him in his full-on outfit. You can of him being in the full-on Spider-Man, or you can put him into his, you know, where he's going to school Spider-Man, or you can put him into his where he's being a thug hanging out with his uncle and spray painting the walls or whatever, you know, and all from one figure. You don't have to, if space is that valuable, you can tell the story multiple times with just one figure, and that way you get tired of looking at him as Spider-Man. You can turn him into the regular, just the teenage kid, Miles Morales, and it's the same figure. Or on the other side of the coin, if you want to be able to display all of them and all the stories, you can buy multiples of that figure and display them in all the storylines. I've noticed that it says it's 28.5 inches, 28.5 centimeters tall. If I remember correctly, 33 centimeters is a foot. So the 1/6 scale figure is 33 centimeters. Like Robert Downey Jr., I think, is 33 centimeters on the Iron Man. So he's 28.5. So that's nice. They're actually making him properly portioned, it sounds, compared to the other figures. And that's cool. But I do still have a problem with that coat. The coat that Hot Toys is selling is blue. And the coat in the movie is not blue. It's a tealish green. It's not this color. It's more green than it is blue. The Rich Toys, I think, has already announced their figure a few months back, and it is green. So if you have a problem with the coat, then you're going to have a problem with the Hot Toys one. If you don't care about the coat and you're just going for the head sculpts and the eyepieces and the helmet and the mask for the Spider-Man, then the Hot Toys one, you shouldn't have any problem with it whatsoever. Sideshow GI Joes. Oh, wow, that's a. I don't even know what to say. That's dedication right there. How many did they make? How many Sideshow GI Joes did they make? That's the list of them right there, right? Duke, Flint, Hawk, Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow, First Sergeant. Once versions plus Cobra Commander. All those. That's how many they've made. $200 for a con figure. That's good. I made a double Cobra Commander with a Fison body. Nice. Well, not Fison, called Jow body. I've not bought a Jow body. I'm not familiar with them other than what I've seen. And they look pretty good quality. I'd be interested to know how those bodies are. Depends on figure sometimes I get doubles like my wish I had gotten two. I Toys tactical suit. HG tactical suits. Justice League, Batman. Oh yeah. Okay, gotcha. So yeah, I've been going back and forth on this. I put this guy up for sale. I bought him because originally I was thinking I wanted to try and make him a little more comic accurate compared to the PlayStation video game accurate for this Scarlet Spider. So I bought two of them specifically for that reason because I wanted to make one look more like the comic book and one more like, and leave the other one as it is. And then I was like, after I bought it, you know, shit hit the fan and need to sell it, put it on eBay for the exact same price I sold it for, bought it for. Nobody had any interest in it whatsoever, so it's been sitting here. Today I think I'm just going to open it up because it has all the really cool accessories that it has more accessories, if I remember correctly, than any of the other Spider-Man figures that have been released so far. So you can't argue the accessories. And Scarlet Spider is truthfully my favorite Spider-Man. So I'm gonna crack him open. This will be my unboxing for today. I tell you, if I were to spend whatever it would be, let's just say $1,200, getting the DC Extended Universe, I would get Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash. I guess they have a statue, a 1/6 scale statue cyborg, and it looks really good. It looks really good, and it tells a story. It surely does. Those figures together, and you put them on that DCU stand that they had. Oh yeah, definitely. I wouldn't have any problems with that. Not at all. It'd be a great collection if if you're just collecting just one, which is always another big question. Now, I don't know how many Batmans have been made over the years through Hot Toys. A lot. And I think that one is at least a good setup for Batman. But then you start saying, I do like the 1989 Michael Keaton Batman and the Jack Nicholson Jokers. So it makes it real difficult. Collect what you love. That's the real answer. Collect what you love. Collect what you have no problem owning. I mean, the days of $100 Hot Toys are long gone. Long gone. And when they're $300 on the average and up, you really have to make sure that what you're getting is what you want. For real. 6689, right there you go. Adam West and Michael Keaton. Nolan, I like Christopher Nolan's Batman. I think he did a good job, Batman. And of course, we get the a great Joker from that. All the Jokers as well have been really great Jokers. 66 Batmobile would be, yeah, that would be sweet to have. For real, that would be sweet to have. Yeah, are you going to be tracking that down, the Jazzmobile? The Jazzmobile. I don't think you'll be a hoarder if you love your figures. That's the one thing, because of the expense of these and the space that they take up. It's hard to consider yourself a hoarder coming from somebody who's got a lot of them. My wife tells me I'm a hoarder at times. I'm not a hoarder. I've only got a couple hundred. Not like these guys who have thousands of figures. And of course, they've only got the 3, 4, 5, or 6-inch figures. So they can take up a lot more figures in the same space that my 1/6 scale figure can't. So, we can't be hoarders. We don't have enough room for them. So if you weren't here the first time I unboxed this figure, it's already up on the shelf. It opens up like such. Got our little tape up here at the top. Hot Toys Armory. I seen somebody had made a 1/6 scale Bat Cave. Oh my God. I mean, literally, I was drooling over that. That was really cool. That was really super cool. No question about it. There he is in the box. And over this backdrop. Where do I have this backdrop? Funny, I did not even remember this backdrop. I wonder if it's still in the box. Oh no, there it is. I didn't use it. Oh, wait a minute. This is the Mark 47 Spider-Man backdrop. This is another backdrop. What is this? There it is. There's this one. It's cool because I remember it from the pictures of the Mark 47 and Spidey from that. Boxes need to be readjusted. These guys don't want to stay there anymore. I'm running out of space. My hoarding. Of course, again, here's all the accessories. I mean, for real. He's fully loaded. Loaded. Typical clamshell. And this one comes with what I coined the Mcfarlane Webbing. And I think this was the first one that came with it. I don't remember. But I love this webbing. So the regular webbing that he comes with is the webbing that has been coming with the Spider-Man figures from Hot Toys' release of the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, which is this Splat Comb, okay, and this little 5-pack right here. So you get 2 of these, which represent, you know, the webbing ball as it leaves his. I easily show it in this shape every time, and you get 2 of these, which I'm not really certain what's best to do with them. They start off with a little section which is designed to go into the web shooter module, the device, and then it's not really a splat, it's just a straight piece. And it can't be connected with any other piece. There's no interconnection for it. It doesn't snap into any other piece. It's just a straight line. You get 2 of these. You know, it's great for plugging into this, but you only get 1 of these. So I've yet for the life of me figured out how best to use the multiples of these. And in I guess if you're picture framing your display or your diorama or something, you know, you're going to the edge of the area of your display. I suppose that works in that way, but it's always been a confusing issue with me on that. And then this is really neat. This is actually what we've seen in all the years of Spider-Man, is his little bit of webbing that's coming out of his hand as he's got this that he's swinging from. So these are the all the web pieces that you get. But like I said, this one I think is my favorite. And I call it the Mcfarlane Webbing because there really wasn't a story of the webbing, more or less, until McFarlane started drawing Spidey. And he started having this almost unmanaged, uncontrollable web everywhere that Peter went. And there it was all bunched up in his hands of him just having this globs of webbing as he was trying to swing through it, all more or less, controlling it as he's going along, gripping it and lassoing it up. So this is really like the McFarlane Webbing. Yeah, the $6 Million Man series is really cool. You know, it's amazing some of these figures that are being out there. There's a second version of the Bionic Man. Jamie, the Bionic Woman, and Bigfoot. Cool. That seems to be a very popular episode, right? Bitch can't just eat one, right? It's almost like the Pokemon game. Got to collect them all, right? Pokemon. And you know, I almost had to put my foot down to keep from getting all the other figures, and trying to say just 1/6, just 1/6. That's all I'm doing. 1/6, just 1/6. Um, it really is hard sometimes to remind yourself that. But then when you're looking around, you're like, what the hell? Where am I going to put it at? Makes it easier to say that. And then, you know, you start saying, gosh, maybe I should have collected 1/9 instead of 1/6, or maybe I should have collected 1/12 instead of 1/6. And then you're reminded of the quality of these figures. You're like, no, I'm very pleased with 1/6. The reproductions and the quality of them are just unsurpassed. You can get higher quality ones in going with the quarter scale and the third scale and half scale. But then again, room and availability of figures are, you know, truthfully, how many quarter scale figures are there out there? You know what I mean? You can't really have a huge collection. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe because there's so many is why we collect so many. I don't know. But no, I'm definitely with you. It's just the struggle is real. Got his little camera here. His little 35 millimeter camera. I always thought it was so funny. Spider-Man was so self-destructive. He was literally taking pictures of himself and selling them to the Daily Bugle, where J. Jonah Jameson was doing nothing but bad mouthing him continually. You know, the menace. Spider-Man is a menace. I think that was how he coined him the most often. Spider-Man is a menace. If I remember correctly, didn't Jameson pay for the Spider Slayers or something with Kingpin? I don't remember how that all went down. Actually, his little iPhone, cell phone, or I guess you really couldn't say specifically it's an iPhone, little smartphone, little smartphone. Come on, Spidey's with it. He's in the now. He's got a smartphone. He's here with us today. I love this donut. It's the same donut that Tony's been eating since Iron Man 2. So you can make a box of donuts with these if you so desired. Tony's donut comes from Randy's Donuts. This is just a regular glazed chocolate iced donut. Just it's nothing specific. It's not like, you know, Spider-Man isn't famous for eating donuts. It's the Tony Stark scene, obviously from Iron Man 2, is a huge scene, and we see him eating a donut. But Spider-Man is just, you just put him in something, just, he's a normal guy. He's just a normal guy. Regular old kid. And here's his little coffee cup. You can have him carry. Like I said, the accessories on this, all the stuff that they give you. You don't get with any of the other figures. And if you like them doing things, your characters, then here you go. You get a pizza pie, one slice, and then the other 7 slices, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right there. And the pizza box, sure enough, with the grease seeping through the bottom of it. So all this neat stuff. Advanced Suit Spider-Man comes with the spider bombs and all of that stuff. This guy does not come with that. But you get these things that aren't with any of the other Spider-Man. No other figure comes with all these other little accessories. But they're all part of Spidey's life. He had a job delivering pizzas at one point. Figure base. Scarlet Spider. Predator is another line, man. I wish I could collect. They made so many different Predators. Oh my God. And they look amazing. It's so funny you don't realize there were so many Predators until you see the line that Hot Toys has fabricated from them. Sheesh. It's amazing. Lobster claw, back brace, and the new articulated one where you can position the lobster claw up and down wherever you want it on there. The older traditional ones, it's set right here at this height, and if you wanted a shorter or taller one, you had to get a taller pole or a shorter pole, and now you just place it up and down here however you wish. This portion of it is soft and squeezable, and in theory, it's supposed to assist or aid in the gripping from the rubber pole and the little rubber pieces on here, and through friction and resistance, it's to be able to put him into a different pose and him stay there. I'm not sold on these. I prefer the ones where you specifically put him into a spot and it is locked into that position. I just don't believe that this is going to stay exactly in one spot for a very long time. But it is what they are giving us now. Extra wrist pegs. He has his clasping hands on him. And then the extra hands that he comes with are a web swinging hand, which has the hole all the way through it. So you can put either the Mcfarlane webbing or the webbing that has the additional piece that comes out of the bottom all the way through that. We get kind of like his Boy Scout salute, two-finger gesture hand right here. I don't know if you can see the little webbing on there, all the little bitty texture over all the. Get a pair of these press. If you can see that, they kind of come up a little bit, pressing into something. It's all about. I popped up and said, unable to connect, reconnect. And I pressed the button about a dozen times. Didn't want to connect back up. Finally came back. That must have been it. Whatever that text was that somebody decided to send me. Can't read text in the middle of the filming. And if it's that important, someone can call. That's my opinion on that. That's probably why that stream got interrupted. You too, I love yous. Web shooters. Two of those. And then finally, terrible. thing I've always liked about Spider-Man is his, he knows how strong he is. He knows hurt on somebody. And one of his indicators as to whether or not he can really hit you is if you're stronger than his webbing. So he's determined that, you know, the first thing he tries to do is web you up. He tries to immobilize you. He tries to stop you from proceeding or continuing or doing whatever face or breaking out of the webbing. He knows you're strong enough that he can just literally unload on you and hit you with everything he's got. So fists, definitely. You could pose Spider-Man with his fists. He's fought with his fists many times. And Spider-Man's got into fisticuffs. Somebody. No doubt about it. You wouldn't go wrong putting Spider-Man in his fists and having him fight somebody, for fact. But no, he's very defensive at disable you or hinder you or stop you with his webbing. He'd much rather just stop you from doing what you're doing instead of duking it out with you. But if you're stronger than his webbing, he knows he has no problem unleashing everything he's got clean on you, punching you with the same force he can use to lift a car. Imagine that. Imagine getting punched with that. Jeez. One thing I always thought was interesting on this. I thought this came off. Does it not come off? One's off. Why did the whole thing just come off? That was weird. One thing I thought was interesting, though, that they didn't do, but it sure appears that it should be, looks like that's supposed to light up. You know what I mean? It's not interchangeable. You can't put any other eyes in there. But it makes it look like as if it should light up, but there's no light up in it. There's no switch. Nothing opens up. You can't light them up. I mean, I don't know why you would light them up, and Scarlet Spider didn't light up. But it just looks like that. Of course, one of my complaints on the difference between the comic Spider-Man, Scarlet Spider, and the video game Scarlet Spider was he didn't have in the comic. I don't remember him having ninja style shoes. I remember him having the toes separated in his shoes, like he does in the video game version. So that was one inconsistency or difference, I would say, from the comic. I don't remember him having little toe marks or places for his toes to separate out, tightrope shoes or whatever you want to call them. I don't remember that in the comics. And the other thing was when he made his hoodie, his sweatshirt, hooded sweatshirt, what we called them back then. We didn't call them hoodies back then. He ripped the sleeves off. Instead of them being sewn like they are here, they were ripped. He literally just ripped them off. So they had that jagged appearance to them, which we don't have in this guy. Other than that, for the most part, I don't see any real difference that's worth arguing over between the two Spider-Men. The video game Scarlet Spider and the comic Scarlet Spider. And Scarlet Spider has been my favorite one ever since I first seen him back in the 90s when it first came out. And you can get his little hoodie up over on his head here. I didn't pose that one with this hoodie up, so this one I will pose with this hoodie up. There's a little piece of wire in there, so you can pose it around as you see fit. There's this little hood up on his helmet. You can see I've positioned the wire in that just a tad. I think that looks pretty cool. I like that. I'm looking down with it like such, kind of reminiscing or self-thought look. It stays where you put it. I hate that they tape these on there so tightly. To fight so hard getting these pieces of plastic off of him. I'm always afraid I'm going to poke the figure. That's really the last thing I want to do. For fact. There we go. Get some plastic underneath his web shooters here. In the web shooter is a little hole where you can stick the webbing at. You can see that hole right there. I do not have K2SO. It's one of the things that I've told myself that I wanted to buy all of the droids, and I told myself I wanted to buy all the bounty hunters too, and I didn't. I would have. He looked really good. I would have loved to have him in my collection. K2SO. I do have the Jawa and the Power Droid on order, and I have the Astromech BB-8s, the BB lines. But I really wanted that K2SO because he's a droid. I love the droids. I think the droids are great, but it's a slippery slope. I knew that if I'd gotten K2SO, I would have tracked down all of them. I got C-3PO. I've got a couple of C-3POs. I mean, I have one Sideshow C-3PO. Hot Toys showed us a C-3PO, which they never released. Goes back to you can guarantee there's not going to be any more R2-D2s. If they can't even make a C-3PO, do you think they're going to make the other R2-D2s? No, it's not going to happen. And I really like that K2SO. Looks really good. And I did not get him. Did not. But no, I justified him in my mind. I wanted him. I just didn't make it happen. I can imagine Ben saying that, the thing. Whoa, whoa, slow down, Richie Rich. I can hear that. I literally can hear that. Good old Ben, the thing. Man, Fantastic Four. That seems to be another one of those. You know, they've tried it out a couple of times, didn't they? making Fantastic Four movies, and they keep screwing it up for some reason. I don't know why. It's like there's a curse on that movie or something. I don't know what the deal is. Thought that last one would have been well, but they keep screwing it up. I don't know what the problem is. I did order that Silver Surfer. That looks really amazing. I hope the company delivers on it. I'm afraid that it's such an aggressive design body that something's going to come up and we're not going to get it. Or it won't look anything like the prototype images do. That's what I'm afraid of. I ordered the Mystique because it's such a great looking figure, and then waited for 2 years or however long it was, and they canceled it because they couldn't deliver what they promised. And so, the distributor asked me if I wanted to still get that Mystique after they made such a huge change to it. And I'm like, no, I ordered it because it was such a unique figure of her feathered out. Oh, man. And so I didn't care for the Mystique in her uniform. I just don't collect the X-Men. Again, with the Marvels that I have, jeez. I mean, if you were to collect every single franchise, every single 1/6 Hot Toys, Sideshow, whatever is made, I mean, my collection of over 200 figures, it would be 5 times that. It'd be 1,000 figures. Easily. This thing is really super tight. I'm screwing it down. I unscrewed this and it's loose. The screw is here, but it's super tight on here. So maybe this one will hold it. Maybe this one I can use for a flight pose. And not have to worry about it sliding down. This one is super tight. Super, super tight. What I like about this as well is the Spider-Man is very articulate himself. In the comics, you see him with his knees up around his head as he's literally swinging around through stuff. I mean, it's not uncommon to see him just totally in the air in some type of crazy fashion where he's all like this with his arms, with one webbing coming from the front and one webbing coming from the back, and his body all contorted in some weird position. And this suit and the other Spider-Man suits seem to do a pretty good job with you being able to put him into some really unusual web swinging position. Get creative with your Spider-Man and determining how you want to put him out there. I like this. A sideways swinging pose. Or dodging bullets type of a thing. Get the heck out of here, man. I'm dodging bullets. Or another one that's pretty cool is him falling through the air. I like that, how they did that in Spider-Verse they taught you again. You get the same thing in Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, where he has to learn with dealing with the fear of being Spider-Man, you know? Taking that leap of faith. Like I told Miles, you're not ready yet. You're not ready yet. Spider-Man has to take that leap of faith, trust in his powers and his abilities. See if we can get in some sort of crouching pose here. Superhero landing. I don't think I'm going to get him into a superhero landing. Can't get these really to separate out that much. No. You're darn close. I'm going to get that out. That's always been my opinion. If you got one that doesn't want to move out, just put the other one in. It's not worth fighting over it. You don't want to break it. See what we can do here. How are we coming along? Get that hand to the ground. I think we got something here. I'm starting to like this. Oh yeah, that's pretty good. If I do say so myself. I like how that turned out. Yeah, pretty nice. I like that. I'll have a crouching Spidey. I think that's what I'm going for. Maybe even put some of the webbing in his hand. Have him shooting it out, possibly. Right? I like this. Maybe not. I kind of like it with his hand on his knee. You know, I'm digging this. Liking how this turned out. With this hoodie over his head. There's my Spidey. There's my Scarlet Spider-Man right there. Little articulated toe. That'll definitely work. That will work. I like that. Yep. That's how he's going. Right there. That'll be my Scarlet Spider, my second Scarlet Spider. Again. Yeah, I love this Scarlet Spider-Man. I really do. He seemed to be one that wasn't getting much love from the community. And he's my favorite Spider-Man. He really is. So I bought two of them because I wanted to make one a little more comic accurate. I decided I didn't want to do that anymore. I might still do that. It's hard to say, man. It really is. It's hard to say. But I'm digging the of this. They don't call it that. Because I truthfully went into the person that McFarlane brought this to Spidey. He's the one that made the webbing come to life, more or less. McFarlane did. Brains. Ben makes Fantastic Four fun. He sure does. What a character Ben is. The Thing. What a character. Yeah, and there's ribbing. Ben is always ribbing, isn't he? He's like Spidey. He's a little smartass, more or less, right? And Deadpool. No, yeah, Richard Rich comics are long gone, right? Jeez. What was his dog's name? Dollar? Wasn't his dog's name Dollar? The Dalmatian that had a set of spots. He had dollar US dollar signs all over him instead of spots. The Grimace reference, I didn't see that in your post. I assume you're talking Grimace from McDonald's? I'm not sure. CBS Sci-Fi, hello, welcome. Buzz TV, hello, welcome. So this is what I've got going on. avoiding the coronavirus, collecting my figures. I've got Red Skull coming. I imagine it'll be here next week. That's probably what I'll be unboxing next weekend. The Ghost Red Skull, Soul Ghost or something like that. I think that's what the figure's called. Somebody told me that Hugo Weaving was the one who played the Red Skull in the in-game and Infinity War movies, and I find that interesting. I thought for a fact he would reprise his role. He played the Red Skull in Captain America, Winter Soldier, and I can't, I don't understand why he wouldn't be there. To tell you the truth, maybe something was going on. But I was happy to see Red Skull reprise. I had a feeling that they weren't going to kill off the Red Skull. So all these years, I was like, Red Skull is coming back. Red Skull is coming back. And sure enough, he came back, and I was really pleased with my prediction that it came true. But I have not IMDb'd it. Somebody told me that Hugo Weaving was not the one who played the Red Skull in Infinity War and Endgame. That's unfortunate, in my opinion. You can't tell that looking at the makeup. I thought it was Hugo Weaving. Buzz Lightyear, how you doing, man? Red Skull's definitely infected. Well, that was the whole justification I used for opening him, was because of the accessories. I love all these accessories, especially, again, the Mcfarlane Webbing. Don't know if I'd be willing to get rid of the other things. To tell you the truth, I might be interested in getting rid of the camera, maybe the pizza. Don't know. Definitely not the webbing. That webbing's not going anywhere. That's really the biggest piece right there. That's the gold right there of the figure. That webbing right there. Oh, jeez. It was funny. I seen someone had made a meme using a post of forget the actor's name who played the Anchorman. If you remember that movie, and he's called Kickback, and he's like, "I'm not worried about this. This is my 10th. What was it? Something to the effect of, this is my 10th into the world air I've survived through," or something like that. Every God, it sure seems that way. Every 10 years or every 20 years, there's a new scare that the end of the world is coming about. And you need to stockpile up and make sure you have your reserves and buy your toilet paper and all that stuff. It's crazy, man. You become hardened to it after a while. Little boy who cried wolf story, right? How many times are you going to be told that the end of the world is upon us? Stockpile your stuff before eventually you're like, yeah, I survived the last 10. I'll survive this one too. It's all hooey. I remember Y2K. Oh my God, airplanes were going to fall out of the sky, and we weren't going to have any power. All the electric grids were going to shut down, and the nuclear defense systems weren't going to function anymore, and they were just going to automatically erupt and shoot missiles into the sky, and everybody was going to die. And oh man, tell you, if it's not something else. Stockpile, because it's going to be dark ages after this. Buzz, I'd probably be interested in getting you that. Send me an email, siriup@gmail.com, SIRIAPP@gmail.com, or hit me up on Messenger. I'll get rid of this pizza and the camera for you if you want. I think I wouldn't have a problem with that. Cellophane as webbing, it looks good. Really? I think I'd heard somebody else had said that one time before. You think you're a goner? A 2 liter in the fridge? What happened to Peter? Peter, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Cool. Thanks. Yeah, I'll get to you. I'll respond back to you on that. Like I said, either send me an email or hit me up on Messenger, Facebook Messenger. Siri Emerald is the Facebook account. Once the Scale News and Reviews is where I do all my posting. But yeah, hit me up. I respond with Messenger. If any of y'all want to talk, or I've gotten some great photos of collections that you guys send. Some of you guys out there, man, you got some amazing collections. Really, really, you do. You guys are just as dedicated and in the hobby as sometimes even more than I am. I'm really impressed with some of your collections. Really impressed. I'm honored to have you guys as my acquaintances and friends and family. You know, you're the family. You really are. So I'm sorry to have you. We have the same passion here, right? We have the same passion for collecting these figures, playing with our toys. That was so funny on the Miles Morales video that I made, talking about that figure coming out by Hot Toys. When you read the Chinese interpretation into English of how they sell the figure, oh my God, they're called dolls and puppets, and it's so funny reading that and hearing them so easily just toss about the word doll, which we take offense to. Oh no, these aren't dolls; these are action figures. But they just use that word, which translates into, for I guess the closest word that they have to translate it to English is doll, and puppet is another form that they use. So I guess action figure, puppet would make sense. You know, it's a representation that you can pose about would be a puppet. So they call them puppets and dolls. Oh, that was so funny. Every time I'd come across those words, puppet and doll, I just was laughing inside because those are words that we take offense to on these figures. No, that's not a doll, man. Dolls are what little girls play with. Little babies play with dolls. Grown men don't play with dolls. These are action figures, and a puppet is something that we consider something a little more so controlled directly by either your hand movements inside of it or like through a marionette with the strings that are specifically controlling it is really what we consider a puppet. Something that you specifically directly control continually would be what we would consider a puppet. We don't necessarily consider an action figure a puppet, but it's interesting how that translated over from how they are selling the figure in the description. Doll and puppet come out as a descriptor of this figure or the figures of such. Doll and puppet. Go play with your dolls. Oh my God. That is totally offensive. And we don't consider puppet. I think probably puppeteers or people who control puppets probably would not enjoy us using the puppet term for these, because in their art of them controlling their puppet, they've mastered moving him in such an articulate way that it mimics live motion. And we're not motioning them into that. We're not puppeteering them. So I just find that interesting that was how they interpreted it. Interpreted it. Interpreted it. Interpreted it. It's not a word, is it? Interpreted it. Interpreted. Interpreted. Jeez. And my brain is not functioning this morning. Interpreted. I would love to get an Avengers Hulk. I have a NECA Hulk. Talking about the NECAs. Or no, Crazy Toy Hulk is what that is up there. And he's a little bit larger than 1/6 scale, and that's fine. I truthfully believe that Hulk can get larger if he really wants to when he gets full on raged. I'm under the impression, and you kind of see that in I think it was the Incredible Hulk, the one that had Edward Norton starring in it. He really got very large, and I think they actually consider that canon, part of the MCU. That Hulk, I think that is really considered part of the MCU, and in that Hulk, he gets very big, much bigger than we see him in Avengers and whatnot. But no, I would love to have an Avengers Hulk. It's one of those holy grails, pieces that you just miss that you really need to be part of your collection. And I really want to get an Avengers Hulk for fact. Split halves and weird pants. So the Avengers, the old Age of Ultron pants. Yeah, the ripped up brownish pants are really Hulk, die hard Hulk. You know what I mean? The Age of Ultron Hulk has a. If you got the deluxe version, you got the extra body, so you can either have him with the articulate, the movable arms, or you can have him with the crushing arms. The heads are amazing. They really are. He used a cellophane as webbing, made a ham. Oh, get out! He made a hammock out of the cellophane, so the figure could go to sleep in it. That's cool. And if I remember correctly, that's something that Peter had done, Spider-Man has done in the comics, is sleeping in a hammock style webbing. That's really cool. I'll have to check that out. Posing with Peter, is that who did that? 1/6 Marty McFly, but I think I'll get the NECA one since it's much cheaper. But is it 1/6? Does NECA make 1/6? Or does NECA make 1/4? And does NECA make 1/6? I love the cellophane idea also. I'm gonna have to research that. Right? And I assume you're talking about the same thing that I'm talking about, the McFarlane look. That's just ingenious. The webbing was just out of control. It had its own. All of a sudden, it became part of the story. Where before the webbing was just a tool that was depicted in the comics of him getting about, and roping up the bad guys, holding them fast, containing them, and all of a sudden with McFarlane, it became. It's almost like he asked the question, "Where the hell is all this webbing even going?" You know what I mean? The webbing is everywhere, totally out of control. Saint Kyle is a doll. Damn, what the fuck? It's hot. I think Black Widow one looks sexier, especially the white soldier look. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that Black Widow movie. I hope they don't push it back like they have done with other movies. Cinemark sent me an email talking about all the precautions that they're doing to help prevent the spread of the coronavirus. So, because people are not going out and doing anything, and the movies industry really depends on us going to the movies and seeing the movies. If we're not paying for the movies, they're not making any money. They're going out of business. So 6 inch and 1/4 scale. Yeah, so 1/12 and 1/4. KO Hulk. I don't know what the KO Hulk is. It's a bit smaller than the original Hot Toys one. Looks pretty simple paint wise, but we'll do a background figure. Still, Avengers Hulk looks awesome. He's got the right pants. You know what I mean? Too many cool figures and too little money. No doubt about it. Every time Toby Spider, I think Spider-Man 3, yeah, give me your camera. $100, no film extra. Days all, hey, how are you doing? She would look fit in white, wouldn't she? Yeah, Spider-Man 3, what a disaster that was. And it was so funny in Enter the Spider-Verse, the Miles Morales movie. I like how they talked about that. And it wasn't really Spider-Man 3 because in Spider-Man 3 he was wearing the black suit when he was doing all of that. And so he's like, I also did this. And it shows some of the scenes recreated from Spider-Man 3, which people really ripped up the movie over when Toby was doing all of that. And so they were referencing that was going on in the Miles Morales universe or whatever universe that was. It's hard to actually figure out until somebody tells us that this was the universe that Miles and Peter Parker, blonde hair, blue eyed Peter Parker, existed in the Into the Spider Verse realm, because that's a different universe in the comics. So it'd be interesting to see which that one was. But it was nice how they put all those scenes from Spider Man 3, or actually any of the Tobey Maguire Spider Man, into that. It's really nice because keep in mind, similar events happen to all the Spider-Man in their each respective universe, and so this is another universe. The video game series is another Spider-Man universe. Deadpool really lives in all these different universes, and so there's multiple Miles Moraleses out there when you think about it, and so you really can't necessarily be too hardcore or judgmental in regards to the displaying or portraying of these figures, unless they're specifically trying to state that it belongs to a certain universe. Well, then, by golly, if it's with that universe, it really needs to represent that universe directly in that regards. But if they're just throwing one out there in generalness, then you have a lot of liberty to be able to alter or display them in some configuration which isn't necessarily totally in line with what you have been presented with. Spider-Man just shrug your shoulders. So he's from a different Earth. He's from Earth 16103 or something, And that answers that question. Tri-Spider, Toby, Andrew, Tom all together. I would love that. So I would love an Enter the Spider-Verse style live action with Tobey Maguire and Tom Holland. Oh my God. I was literally thinking they were going to do that on the Far From Home movie. I really did. I really thought that there was going to be another there was going to be some type of a crossover that would really just tie it all in, because Mysterio claimed that he was from an alternate universe. He said he was from Earth. Said he was from Earth 1610 and or 616. Said it was from Earth 616, and literally, I'm in the theater, and he says that he was from a different Earth, and that this one, talking about the one he was in with Tom Holland and Nick Fury and all those guys, he said this Earth is Earth 616, and I was like, no. I literally just lost my mind and just shouted it out in the theater. No, because it's not Earth 616. Earth 616 is the mainline Marvel comic Spider is Earth. Earth 616 is. So that cinematic version could not be Earth 616. As a matter of fact, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is Earth 199999. 19,999 is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And Tom Holland exists in the Marvel Cinematic Universe with Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans and Chris Hemsworth, and those are the Earth 19999. So that's the Earth that Tom Holland's Spider-Man exists in. The Marvel Cinematic Universe, not Earth 616. Earth 616 is the main Marvel comic Earth. But yeah, I was so positive, especially when they were talking about the alternate Earths, that we were going to see a Tom Holland and a Tobey Maguire and an Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. I would love that. So I don't know how willing those guys would be to redon the spider suit. They may have zero interest in it, but I would love to see that. I think that would be great. I think that would be amazing. Venom has gone to San Francisco. He has. He started out in New York in the comics, and he was an Olymp. According to the comics, he was in a the hell's his name? Uh, Jesus slips me now. He was an Olympic weightlifter and a photographer for the Daily Bugle. And when the Venom symbiote was rejected by Peter Parker, and he had him removed in the comics, he had him removed through the cathedral bells. The high tone disrupted the symbiote's ability to remain with the host body, which was Peter Parker. And God, what is his name? Um, the Venom guy, I can't remember his name now, had gotten fired from the Daily Bugle, and he blamed Peter Parker for it. It was really some of his doings. I don't remember what he'd done. He'd lied or something, and causing Jameson to have to put a retraction into the paper. And so Jameson fired him over that. And so, God, what the hell is his name? So he was really pissed off at Peter Parker, and at the same token, Peter had successfully separated himself from the Venom symbiote, and the guy, Jesus, help me out. What is Venom's name? He had gone to the church to seek redemption, more or less, or ask for forgiveness, or soul searching his life. I don't remember exactly why he was in the church. While he was in the church, the Venom symbiote sought him out, and because they both had a hatred at that point for Peter Parker slash Spider-Man, they bonded together and they became the Venom. We are Venom, and he spent many years in New York at that point, and then Venom started trying to become a good guy, which made him really an anti-hero because of his way of classifying whether or not somebody he needed to die. He fell into the anti-hero category of Marvel Comics, and Venom was like one of the first villains to get his own comic line, if I remember correctly, was how they were touting that when the Venom comics came out. That he was the first villain to get his own comic line, and he kind of shifted over to an anti-hero. And then I think it was called the Life Foundation was started harvesting them, because one thing that we learned when Venom got locked up in jail and he escaped, he had left a seed, more or less, in the jail cell, which, what was his name? Cletus Cassidy was the one who got a hold of the seed and became Carnage. And Cassidy was a full-on Eddie Brock. Eddie Brock is Venom's name. Eddie Brock was a photographer and an Olympic weightlifter who became Venom. And when he left jail, a seed was there that bonded with Cletus Cassidy, who was an absolute maniac, a homicidal sociopath, a full-on. He makes Joker look like an amateur in regards to his lust for killing, and so the Carnage um, character came about. And so I think it was the Life Foundation that discovered this, and they captured Venom, and somehow Venom ended up in San Francisco, where the Life Foundation was, and they were able to discover he had six more seeds or offspring in him, and they extracted those and created a group of Venomites from that, and that was really cool. And there's a whole Venom line in regards to all of that, which can be easily tapped into and created and turned to a huge cinematic production if you wanted to make the Carnage stories and the other symbiote stories. And sheesh, the Venoms were amazing. Then we learned there's a whole planet of Venoms, and then we learned that the Deadpool was actually the first one who encountered Venom with our beings, and that had something to do with him being touched, because Deadpool is a full on maniac himself, and it's just amazing the whole story there of Venom. But yeah, Venom is in San Francisco now. He sure is. The best of my knowledge, he's still there. Um, yeah, I love getting the photos that you guys send of your collections. Man, I'm telling you, you guys are you guys are hardcore like me. Yeah, did they finally merge the DC Flash with the movie Flash, the television Flash with the movie Flash? Did they do that? Spider-Man universe, we'll see Venom, Tom Hardy, and Topher Grace. Oh yeah, you know they really did not do Venom right in that Spider-Man 3. That was an absolute disgrace. That really was. That was wrong the way they did Venom. They just dismissed them, and that falls under the category of the directors and writers not knowing what the hell they're doing, not having any passion or feeling for the characters that they you have. If you're just going to get in there and they really had no business doing Venom the way that they did in Iron and Spider-Man 3. That was an embarrassment. That was an absolute embarrassment. Totally. I hated that. Absolutely hated that. I did not have any of the Toby's or Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, and I would love to. They're more holy grails. I need those. I do. Really do. I don't know. with Woody Harrelson in Venom 2? I don't know. In the comics, Flash is Venom and Rocket. Like, what are you crazy? Take that off. Flash Thompson became Venom. I wasn't aware of that version of Venom. That's a new one on me. That's not part of the mainstream story of Venom. That must be some other offshoot. Flash Thompson didn't become Venom, not to the best of my knowledge. Rocket. I like how Thor always calls him Rabbit, and then all the other, literally Asgardians, refer to him as a rabbit as well. I thought that was funny. Rocket Raccoon, they call him a rabbit. I thought that was funny. I agree. I think Topher would have played a good Peter Parker or Ben Riley. Sure, why not? That would have been good. You guys got anything else you want to talk about? I think we pretty much exhausted the subject. Um, I'm really digging this is poses. It's definitely going to look good on the shelf as such. Give you a close up of that again. So my Spidey's going to go just like that. I put this hand on his left, finger pressing hand. Not real certain. I might have him holding his coffee cup. He's going down like that. That's how he's going. Some advice for me: should I get negative suit or upcoming in-game captain? Are you asking as they only have one to get? Jeez. That's not even a fair of, of the whole. Man, my phone's ringing. Scam likely. I get these political calls this time of year where they're all asking me to donate money to this and to. I hate it. I really hate it. Um, I love my negative suit Spider-Man. I have him, of course, because I'm gonna buy all the Spider-Man. And but Captain Negative Suit Spider-Man on top of that, because see, Negative Suit Spider-Man is not even a main Spider-Man. He is, and he's obviously addition to my collection, but he doesn't necessarily. He's not recognized as a Spider-Man to any other person who happens to come upon your collection. They see this black and white guy, and they're like, "What the hell is that? It looks like it could be Spider-Man, but Spider-Man's supposed to be red and black, or red and blue, and he's white black. What? How is that a Spider-Man? It doesn't necessarily tell the story to somebody who's not familiar with the story. Whereas you can look at Captain America and you can recognize him as Captain America almost in any suit that he's wearing, except in his winter soldier suit where he's wearing the dark stealth style Captain America suit. That's the only one that's saying in your mind as Captain America. I if you only buying one, I can't tell you which one to get. But you wouldn't go wrong with either one of them if they weren't your only figure, more or less. If they weren't your only, if you were representing Captain America, you couldn't go wrong with any Captain America, truthfully, except for the stealth suit Captain America, because he doesn't necessarily he's an additional one, or the concept suit Captain America. Those two Captain Americas are a little more hardcore. They don't necessarily tell the story of Captain America as a one off. Same thing with Negative Suit Spider Man. It doesn't necessarily tell the story as a one off of Spider Man. If you have your red and blue Spider Man, and that's Spider Man, then you can say, and here's an alternate suit that he has, the negative suit. Or the same thing as with Captain America. You can have your red, white, and blue Captain America, and then have his stealth suit or his concept suit, and say, and here's an alternate suit for Captain America. But they're not in the same catalog. You're saying I'm only going to buy either a Captain America or a Spider-Man, and these are the two that I'm looking at. Man, I can't say. You really have to look at the context of your collection to make a decision as to which one would better fit your desire, needs, and wishes for that. God, I can't give you advice on that. That's impossible. That's totally impossible. No way. What are we getting to eat? Pollo Loco, tacos, spaghetti, pizza. You can't go wrong with any of that, right? You taking us out to dinner? Can mess his suit? I don't believe the suit is that tight. I don't think it's like a Fison silicone bodied figure. There's nothing really stretching here. It doesn't seem to be a suit that if I'm posing it in this pose for an extended amount of time, then I'm going to regret doing it. It's not necessarily that tight of a suit. It's an interesting material, but I don't feel that it's going to be a problem. Unlike, for instance, this, which is just eating at me, of how it's dissolving apart. I don't this I'm just shocked at how this is coming apart. No, I don't believe that it doesn't feel like that type of material that's going to degrade and fall apart in that manner. Now I may be totally wrong. This thing may just totally dissolve out on me, and I would hate that. But I don't have any qualm about posing him in this manner. It doesn't bother me. I don't fear this pose. I really don't. But I don't know enough about this material to say one way or the other, truthfully. But I'm sticking to this. This is how I'm going with. He's pretty much in his pose as he's going to be, just as such. My next figure coming in is the Red Skull Ghost. I've already got notification from 1/6 Kit that it's on the way. I was hoping it would be here this Saturday. Today it wasn't. So it'll more than likely be here next week. And so hopefully next Saturday I'll be unboxing the Red Skull. I think it's called Soul Ghost. I don't remember who makes it. It's a third-party company that makes it. And he's going to look good over here with my Red Skull and my Johann Schmidt. That took about a year to put together. My Johann Schmidt over here. Oh, man. I'm really impressed with this. So when you bought Red Skull, he almost came with enough to make two versions of full-on Red Skull. And essentially, I started tracking down these Nazi uniform pieces to make Johann Schmidt. And the only thing that I don't have on his tie here, there should be the Red Skull emblem. And it's not. It's the Nazi, whatever the hell it is, that's on this tie. But instead of it being Nazi, it should be the Red Skull. But other than that, everything that's on Johann here is how he would have been in the movie. And he really turned out beautiful. And Johann Schmidt, it's even this bad. Because you were wounded and lived. And, okay. And so Johann had a gold one. You couldn't find a gold one on getting these. And then I painted it gold because Johann's is gold because that gave him that prestige of having the gold one. So yeah, that's my Johann Schmidt, the Red Skull. So the Soul Ghost will go well with my Red Skull. I wish I had a third Red Skull myself so I could pose him. Like I said, he comes with the ability to put him into two uniforms the other uniform that I would put outfit, which is underneath the coat here. So you can't see it. It's totally covered up in the coat, but he's got his gray suit on underneath this, and I wish I had another Red Skull so I could in the gray suit as well. His and him in um, his Nazi uniform. Really, even he wasn't a fan. And that was the thing. So that's my red, and I would like to have a third one just so I can display him in his gray suit. The other thing that I've tried to wear is also, so I wish I could track down the black coat he wears in his Johann outfit. I've not found a good quality black coat that matches the cinematic appearance of him as Johann Schmidt before becoming the Red Skull. So those are the pieces that I'm lacking for my Red Skull. But that's who's coming next week. I've had any indication of anything coming from recently or anything about. I've seen a Facebook post picture. Someone showed Sylvester Stallone shopping currently in a store, and he was wearing gloves, and it said something about I thought something about I thought I was safe from the coronavirus. Yeah, the Red Skull ghost is from Infinity War and Endgame. And it was that was the keeper of the Soul Stone, if I remember correctly. One of the impressions one time that in Marvel movies, Marvel universe, you're never really dead. And I was like, yeah, I'd have a hard time believing they would just get rid of Red Skull like that. And I was quite impressed to see that he was trapped for all eternity by the Soul Stone because he couldn't sacrifice that which he loved the most to be released from the power of the Soul Stone. The red soul ghost, I think is what they call it, but it's Red Skull as the ghost. 3-0 had done well. I've seen a few Rambos out there. Yep, that's what I've got coming. The third party Red Skull Soul Ghost. That's what I've got coming. I was told that it was coming earlier this week. Like I said, I'd hoped it'd be here this this Saturday, and it wasn't. So hopefully it'll be here next Saturday. And yeah, thank you. I did a really. I took me about a year to assemble all this to be able to make Johann. A year to track down all the little medallions and badgings and the proper things to make him into what he is. And he's a bad guy. And you villain collectors out there, I would say he easily should be on your list of a villain to have. If you're looking for a villain, Red Skull is definitely a villain to add to your collection, no doubt about it. Or Johann Schmidt, even one way or the other. RS. I don't know what that is. I'm worrying if I won't be able to. Somebody had said it's a flu, it's not a shit store. Why is everyone freaking out over their toilet paper? Oh my God. Use the seashells. Don't you remember from what's it called? Into a state of when he went to the restroom, there was no toilet paper, so he was cursing and getting violations printed out so he could use those to clean himself up after the restroom. And they asked him and said, "You don't know how to use the seashells? Use your seashells." Agent Smith from the Matrix. Oh, for the Red Skull? Well, that Johann sculpt came with the that's the gray uniform and then the black coat. So you could, as you see, I have him with the black coat on, but you could just as easily take the black coat off and just put him in his gray uniform, and then if you bought, you could just put a body into the black coat. You really wouldn't see it that well. I tried doing that. I didn't much care for it, because you didn't have the coat, the gray coat underneath the black coat, and you didn't have the ankles under there. But I had originally intended to take the Johann head sculpt that came with the Red Skull and the Red Skull head sculpt and make the two figures from their black coat and gray outfit. And I think I even bought a gray outfit. I think I have a gray outfit about, to tell you the truth. If I remember correctly, I started to do that. And I don't remember why I didn't continue pressing on for it. I'm almost positive I bought a gray outfit as well, to be able to display him as such. I'll have to look through my inventory again. I think I did. I think I actually bought one to do that. Go first and wash. Yeah. Wash your hands. Wash your hands. People are shocked that they're having to being told to wash your hands. Your mother's been telling you to wash your hands since you was a little kid. I have a hard time believing that not a single one of you on the planet who in your lifetime your mother hasn't said to you, "Did you wash your hands?" or "Go wash your hands." I guarantee you you've been told that. I guarantee you. I can't believe for one second that there's a person on this planet who hasn't been told that at least once or asked that at least one time in their lifetime. And nowadays it seems like if that's the big mystery of life. What do you mean? You mean we have to wash our hands? What are you talking about? Wash my hands? That's beyond my comprehension. Never dreamt of washing my hands. Why would I wash my hands now? Wash your hands. Clarence Boddicker. Oh, yeah, I believe you. I've heard that they've done studies on that. You know what I watched the other day was a documentary. They were talking about shaking hands. The custom that we have of shaking hands and greeting. And this one study they were performing, they took these test subjects and put them into a room and had a camera on them, and the scientist, if you will, who was performing the test, would go into the room and shake the person's hand, and they would record how the person reacted after shaking hands. And the majority of instances, right after they shook the researcher's hand or the scientist's hand, they would rub their nose in their mouth with the hand they just shook. And his theory is then that our primal instinct, our basic ability, our animal nature is to sniff what it was that we just touched, the smell of what it was of the person that we got, just like the dogs do as they're communicating with each other, as they're greeting each other. And this was his theory that when we shake hands, we want to we want to smell it, but we're doing this subconsciously. We don't even realize we're doing that. And he said in the test subjects where he would go in and not shake their hands after introducing himself to them, and he would leave the room, they didn't put their hand to their mouth or to their nose. They didn't do it. And so for years they've been telling us that the spread of colds and viruses is from shaking hands. And the thing was well, how can you just get it from shaking hands? Because subconsciously our animal instinct, our basic inner selves, after we shake someone's hand, we sniff them out. What have they been up to? What are they doing? Who are they? Are they good or bad or whatever? Whatever our brain is getting from that. And this is this guy's theory on how things work. And it totally makes total sense when you're doing that. And so I haven't shaken anyone's hand since seeing that, specifically with the coronavirus going on, I'm certainly not shaking anyone's hand. But I'm curious if I'd been that way, if I myself had subconsciously, after shaking someone's hand, have put it to my mouth or my nose. It's really weird. Now that I've ruined you guys' minds, so that now that's going to be in your forefront the next time you shake someone's hand. Should you ever shake anyone's hand ever again, it'd be interesting. Check yourself and see. Did you find your hand going to your nose and your mouth subconsciously? See if that's the case. That would be really interesting. Jado, a Justice League cartoon? Flash and Luthor change bodies. Oh, jeez. Flash Luthor's body in bathroom and villains talking. It is one bad guy goes, aren't you going to wash your hands, Flash? Luthor goes, no, because I'm evil. Sipping like farts and all. Human nature, man. I want to do that to all the fit girls on a Saturday night out. What? You're insane. You guys ain't right. So I guess I want to wrap this up, man. I guess we've talked about just about everything we could think of on things. Wiping your eyes with your palms. Interesting. So I'll see you guys next week. Thanks very much. Like, subscribe to me at Patreon. If you want to just be a supporter of mine, just select the $1 option, and they'll take $1 out of your account once a month, and that would help me out tons. Beyond belief, you'd be surprised how much even only $1 helps. If each of you were to just subscribe $1 to me, geez, that would help out immensely. Share the videos and like and subscribe. You know the drill. And if you haven't got anything else from me, I'm gonna let you all go, and I appreciate the time with you. And you stay safe, wash your hands, and avoid contact. Stay away from people that are sneezing and coughing and spewing that out. They claim you don't have to wear a mask unless you're ill, because the mask doesn't prevent you from getting it. It only prevents you from spreading it. So that's the purpose of wearing the mask. Not to keep you from getting it, but to keep you from spreading it if you have it. So they claim wearing a mask when you're not ill does more harm than good. You guys be safe also. I will tell my wife that you guys asked about her. She's doing well. And I really do hope that the craziness stops sooner rather than later. Let's get through this coronavirus. Let's move on to the next big scare. Because, there's another one always lurking around the corner. Be it an asteroid that's going to smash into the Earth, or aliens are going to take over, or God knows what. There's always something out there that they're going to try to scare us to death with. So I'll see you guys. Love every one of you. Thank you very much for spending your time with me, and we'll see you next week. Bye.